What's in the cards for you this week? Hello, hello. I am going to make sure I'm live in all the places. As you hop on, give me a quick hello. Let me know where you're watching from. It has been an incredibly fun and adventurous weekend. I was at a show, Body Mind Spirit Expo in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing readings in person. Thank you to everyone who came out to see me live. That was so incredible to meet you in person and to give you a hug and to do a reading for you. Also, hello, Julie from Nashville. So great to have you. I'm glad you're on. Okay, so one more time, go live. And then I think I will be live in all the places. This is an exciting week. Mercury is going retrograde. We have a new moon that ends the week, and it is a time to revolutionize our beliefs and our old thought patterns to make sure that you are dreaming big and up leveling for the next step in your journey and your adventure. And before I pull the cards, if we haven't met yet, by the way, my name is Irina Miller. I'm an energy alchemist, a spiritual life guide, and an astrologer. And it is my joy to do these readings for you, to connect you with the moon and other sacred practices to help enable you to step into the life you were born to live. All right. I'm a little discombobulated because it was nonstop readings all weekend. I didn't even think about how many hours I was doing readings for. So 8 hours back to back on Saturday, and I think 7 or 8 on Sunday. So it was fun. It was like speed dating with reading. So much fun. So hopefully I will weave more of those in and meet more of you in person. And let me know in the comments too if you'd ever like to kind of have, I know I've talked about retreats and the like, and I've got that in the back of my mind, but it'd be fun to meet up somewhere too and just have a little party. Okay, without further ado, place your hand on your heart and tune in and just ask, what's the most important thing that you need to know about this upcoming week? Aha, and one jumps out right away. Knight of Wands. There is a search and a calling for freedom. The beautiful black stallion in the background always catches my eye, and I think of Black Beauty, that ability to feel free, to let your hair down, to play on the bongos all day, right? I don't want to work. I just want to play on my drums all day. That wild abandon that comes when we feel free. And you know what really helps? And I think of Sagittarian fire energy when I see this because it is the wands. It does represent fire. And in addition, the other beautiful thing about this card is that the restrictions have been lifted. And how often do our beliefs keep us restricted, keep us playing small? And as Mercury goes retrograde, we kick it off today, Monday, November 25th, trying to figure out the date. What ends up happening is Mercury is going retrograde through Sagittarius. And anytime you have a planet go retrograde, it's a rethinking, a reviewing, a reassessing, renewing, redoing, all the re's. And then in the zodiac sign that the planet's going retrograde through. So Mercury is about our thoughts. It's about the way we think, the way we process. That's Mercury. And it's going retrograde through Sagittarius, which is our beliefs, our hope, our faith, our optimism. So when you have the planet of thinking and communication going retrograde, renewing, rethinking, reviewing, revisiting, reassessing the area of beliefs, hope, faith, optimism. You know, I had incredible people that I met this weekend who were really hanging on. They were looking for hope because of different things that happen either in our life or in, politics or elections or countries. And here's the thing that I want to encourage you. To stay rooted in hope requires us to have faith. And during this Mercury in retrograde, I'm going to invite you to reassess the beliefs that might have clouded your ability to stay anchored in your faith, whatever that is. But these next 3 weeks or so, as Mercury is in retrograde, it'll come out. I don't remember off the top of my head. So it's at the end of, wait, I want to know this. Look at my little cheat sheet. I want to say December 25th, but I've got other things in my head. So December 15th is when Mercury comes out of retrograde. So we have about 3 weeks that it's retrograde. This is the time to really, thank you, Chrissy, December 15th. I've got all these, I didn't want to give you the wrong information. You're spot on, Chrissy, most definitely. But the thing about Mercury retrograde is it is asking you, reassess those beliefs. What are the beliefs that might, trip you up in your faith? Because in order to stay connected to hope, we have to have faith. Where are you placing your faith? Are you placing your faith in people? Are you placing your faith in a job? Are you placing your faith in your fur baby? But really assess this. What beliefs might need to shift or be released with this Mercury retrograde? What have you been dreaming of? Where have you been dreaming too small and just kind of accepting what naturally flows into your life? That's great. We want to accept with gratitude the blessings in our life. And I want to invite you to also engage. Part of the reason that I love sharing these energy weather reports is because it's giving you a heads up of the weather coming your way. And it's reminding you that you're not just at the whim and the fate of the weather, whether it's raining or whether it's, Pluto moving into Aquarius or Mercury going retrograde. If you have a heads up of how the weather is going, you can choose how you're going to engage with that. And you can get a leg up on the moment. You don't have to feel like you're being knocked down by a wave. You can instead say, oh, okay, Mercury is here to shake things up for me. It's here to shift the way that I have been anchored in my beliefs, to renew my hope, my optimism, my faith. Because at the end of the week, on December 1st, Sunday, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. So this is the planting of the seeds. I love how all this works. I'm all goosebumps. Because Sagittarius is where Mercury is retrograding. It is about our faith, our hope, our optimism, our beliefs. It's a chance to renew our hope and to anchor ourselves in a direction. Where are we going? What beliefs are going to help us get there? What need to be released? And this call, I want to talk a little bit about a new moon ritual. My Moon Club members will go into great detail this week with the Moon Club and new moon Sagittarius ritual. But just to give you something to start to help you on your way. Because when I was tuning in and meditating for today's guidance, one of the things that came through very strongly was that in order for prosperity and abundance to flow through into our lives, it's important to create a safe container, a sacred space. You can think of it as the garden of your heart, an interior space. You cleanse and clear your mind of the old beliefs. And it can also be a very physical representation. We might believe that we had to hold on to certain things because maybe they were passed down in the family, or maybe we just were afraid to let it go. This is a week of decluttering. It's a waning moon. So let's talk about that as well. Hello, Cindy. So great you made it. Both Cindy Heck and Cindy LaSalle. Yes, wanted to make sure I said your name properly. Glad to have you both on here as well. Okay, so the overall energy of the week, we look at the moon phase because that's going to affect our energy levels. And the moon is in a waning phase. So it's getting darker and darker and heading towards that new moon on Sunday. So our energy is going to just be going down a little bit, usually. And you might not feel as outgoing. You might not feel as excited to run around and do the errands. For those in the States, we have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up. So if you are feeling less than extroverted, more so than normal, if you're just feeling like, oh, I've got to run around and do the shopping and clean the house and get things ready, and you don't feel motivated, take some time to offer grace and compassion to yourself. Pause, rest, practice self-care, whatever that looks like for you. And what I would really encourage you to do is, if you have a little bit of salt, like Epsom salt, edible salt that we can eat, place it on your tongue. I like the chunkier salt, like the kosher salt, because it'll just take a moment to melt on your tongue. It's very grounding, and it's going to enable you to be present and help you release everybody else's energy in your space. Because I don't know about you guys, but can you start to sense when the holidays come, something shifts in the air? There's a bit of excitement. People are on edge. It's like a little bit too much caffeine that's happening. Stay grounded. Be the weighty one. Help, how do I want to say, influence the energy around you. That's why we do the work we do. We're light workers. We're wave showers. We're able to help shift the energy of the space we're in. So week of letting go, week of decluttering, energy might be lower. And of course, Mercury retrograde is saying review, reestablish those old beliefs. Okay, let's tune into each day of the week. Monday with Mercury retrograde, what's most important that you need to know, and especially with the moon in Libra, Two of Wands, a decision has to be made. Which direction are we going to go in? This beautiful young woman, she is working in the office. She's dressed in her professional clothes, but she has her sneakers on. I love how she has her sneakers right there. But she's looking out. She's longing for something. She has the globe in front of her and a magazine with the surfboard and the VW van. She needs something to shift and change. You know, the cool thing about Pluto moving into Aquarius and the cool thing about Mercury going retrograde is that all of these planetary shifts are here to help us continue to live life and evolve and grow. Because if we're not growing and shifting and we're not engaged in that dynamic dance of life, we atrophy. And it's nice to be comfortable, 100%. It's nice to just kind of be and for those moments where we can catch our breath and just be like, oh, okay, everything's okay. But when things get shifted, when we're being nudged by the universe to make changes, it's so that we don't atrophy. It's to help you grow into the life that you were born to live. We have big dreams, and I'm going to encourage you, dream big this week and during this Mercury retrograde, even if it seems completely unlogical. Try it out, because this is just that opportunity where the planet of Jupiter, which is the miracle grow planet who rules Sagittarius, is saying, okay, let's see, where do you want to go? Dream big, even if it seems totally illogical. That's how you say it, not unlogical. I was like, I didn't say that right. My brain is still processing after this weekend. So a moon in Libra, the way that you can work that out is that moon in Libra is always looking for balance. It's looking for harmony. It doesn't mean that Libras are in balance. They're trying to find that sweet spot. And in order to find the sweet spot, they like to talk and ask people questions like, well, what do you think? And what do you think? And how about this? They're gathering data and information. It's an air sign. So with that 2 of Wands, oh, I've shuffled her already. With that 2 of Wands at the tippity top and encouraging us to make a decision, you might want to talk to people. You might want to get some information, some intel, bounce ideas off your close friends who are near and dear to your heart. But Moon in Libra is just kind of taking it in. It's looking for the sweet spot. Okay, Tuesday, Moon is still in Libra, and I'm going to just shuffle what's most important that you need to know. Rest. So this is a time of rest. Energy might be low this week with the waning moon. She's taking a moment to care for her heart, to make sure she's getting the nourishment she needs so she can show up in the world fully. So Tuesday with the moon in Libra, here's the other thing about Libra. Because the moon in Libra doesn't like conflict, it is the peacemaker, and it's trying to figure out, how do I keep the peace? How do I keep everything, even keeled? And as a result, they might throw themselves underneath the bus for the greater good. And then afterwards, they're limping and hurting and not feeling great. This is saying on Tuesday, be careful not to sacrifice yourself and your own well-being for the greater good, just to keep the peace. Know that sometimes people will be upset. Sometimes people will not always agree. Know that sometimes people might even misunderstand right now. With Mercury in retrograde, there can be miscommunication, remember. Mercury rules technology, so tech might get glitchy. Back up the computers, make sure your phones are backed up, because things just get glitchy. Something might happen with the car. We might mistake an appointment. I had people too over the weekend who would show up late for their time slot because they're like, oh, I just lost track of time. Things like that happen, or we remember it incorrectly. It's fine. We roll with it. We know that this is happening because we know Mercury is retrograde. That's why we tune into the energy weather report, because then we don't have to get as upset or take it as personally. Or say, okay, so Moon in Libra, it's important that I care for my own heart and my own well-being and not throw myself underneath the bus on Tuesday. Okay, so Wednesday's energy, the moon starts off in Libra, but then moves into Scorpio. When does it move into Scorpio? Oh, late in the evening for East Coast. So 7:20 p.m. for East Coast. And so for my friends across the pond, it'll already be you'll be sleeping. But for my West Coast friends, it'll be about 4:20 in the afternoon. So you might notice that a little bit. And I love to kind of highlight when the moon changes zodiac signs, because if we can start to feel into that tiny shift, you can become aware of when it moves. So you're going to move from that looking for harmony energy, and wherever the moon is when you wake up, that's what really sets the tone for the day. But be aware of the shift, because we go from looking for balance and trying to create equanimity and peace of Libra into Scorpio, which is deep, intense, focused, and very guarded. It's like, I'm not so willing to kind of like, the Scorpios don't mind conflict. So by Wednesday night, rather, it might not be such a big deal. I don't have to worry about the conflict anymore. I giggle because I'm a Libra sun, so I feel that strongly. Okay, so what's most important that you need to know about this moon on Wednesday? Here comes the sun. This is a card of fullness, of happiness, of joy. But I also think of that wonderful George Harrison song, Here Comes the Song, or Here Comes the Sun, Little Darling. It's been a long, long, lonely winter. Sometimes it feels so challenging. We have these big dreams. We put ourselves out there and we only feel like we're getting knocked down over and over and over again. And we question, why am I even doing this? Is this working? And it's very interesting because it hit me on Saturday too. Setting up for, a fair, like, where you're bringing your booth. And Julie, I know you know this so well. It's a lot of energy, a lot of work. I had been out of town assisting a client with a mastermind retreat that they were doing, and just there kind of offering energy and readings, and coming home on Friday and then running right up to the convention center and unloading everything and setting it up. And Saturday was a little bit of an odd day. And I felt like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Is it even worth it? And just a little disheartened. And the day was long and I was really just tired by the end of it. And I took a moment and I just said, okay, God, if I'm really meant to be here and meant to be doing this, if I can be of service, please send me a sign. Let me know that I'm on the right track. And I was packing up my booth and I was so blessed. My family was there to help me because you can't do these things alone. Thank you, God, for my family who all rallied and helped me. But I was standing there and I was just kind of, I must have looked terrible. And this one woman came over who had been working the aura booth, taking the photographs of our auras. And she came over and she was all smiles and she said, hello, you look like you need a hug. Would you like a hug? I was like, yes, please. And she gave me a beautiful hug and she said, I've seen you all day today, helping people. You're making such a difference. You've been working so hard. It's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you so much for being here. And I mean, just total earth angel. I get goosebumps. It's like she heard my prayer and answer response from God, where I was like, God, please just let me know, am I on the right track? Because this is really exhausting. I'm tired and I don't know that I'm really making a difference here. And she came over and Sunday was magnificent. Everything just flowed so beautifully. So when we feel like we're beaten down, when we feel like, oh, am I on the right track? Things are hard. I don't see the benefit or the growth from my work. Like, is it making a difference? Ask God, universe, ask source, like, give me a sign. Am I on the right track? And that sun energy, it comes in, you see how she's connected. It's coming in right through her crown, but how open her heart is. I love it. So here comes the sun Wednesday. Oh, and as a side note with Wednesday, my angels are tapping me on the shoulder. So I keep looking at my Inside of the Moon journal. This is what I do, and I use to keep track of where the moon is, collect all the data of my mood. I pull a card for each day like I do with you guys. I take note of that. But the moon, I took note, it's going to be void of course almost all of Wednesday. Now, why is this important? Well, number one, let's just talk about what void of course means. When the moon goes void of course, the moon isn't having a conversation with any other planets. It's kind of like, it has its last conversation with a planet and then it moves on and it just kind of hangs out. And it's just in limbo until it starts the next conversation with the next planet. And because the moon is a reflector, it reflects the light of the sun, our star. It's not moving under its own power in some ways. It's waiting to reflect that light back to us. So when the moon is void of course, it's kind of like when the engine cuts out in a boat and you're just kind of sitting there and you're just kind of waiting. And the common phrase for when the moon goes void of course is nothing will come of it. So why is this important? Well, for those of us in the States, it's the day before Thanksgiving. You might be preparing food or meals or getting your house ready. I'm going to encourage you to definitely do the mundane type practices. Don't start anything brand new projects or like a brand new recipe unless you kind of lay everything out beforehand, because from 4:14 a.m., this is Eastern time, till 7:21 p.m., The moon is void. Of course, it's almost the entire day for like East Coast as we're awake. West Coast, it'll come out for you like 4:20 again. But the important part of that, so that's when the moon goes into Scorpio, by the way. The important thing about Wednesday is don't get frustrated if you start an activity and you're like, oh my God, like I was vacuuming the floor and the whole, vacuum bag exploded and now I got to do it again. Or I made this food and I walked away and it ended up getting scorched or burned. Just take time, pay extra attention, extra care. Don't start anything brand new. I've got this terrible habit where when we have people over and we're hosting Thanksgiving, I always do brand new recipes for the first time. I get excited. And it's funny because my husband's family is like, why do you do a brand new recipe instead of a time-tested one? I'm just wild like that. But I was looking at all these brand new recipes and I'm like, oh, okay, they're very complicated. And a little tap set on my shoulder. Irina, just make your bean Wellington that you make. You know that recipe. It's easy now. It's not going to take you a bajillion hours. Don't go for the crazy brand new recipe that has like 100 ingredients and like 10 steps to make it. Although I kind of still want to. We'll see. I probably won't because I'm definitely feeling that fried energy. So Wednesday, just take that in mind. Don't start anything brand new. Do things that are mundane. If you have to do something again, you might, but it'll be okay. You've got the heads up so that you don't get frustrated. Give yourself extra time on Wednesday. If you are prepping, maybe you do prep Monday, Tuesday as much as you can if you're here in the States. All right. So then moving into Thursday's energy. Thursday, the moon is in Scorpio. So for my friends on stateside, on this side of the pond, if you were attending Thanksgiving celebrations on Thursday with the moon in Scorpio, I'm going to encourage you to ground. Because the Scorpio energy is intense and it can be a bit off-putting at first because Scorpio wants to protect themselves. They are very vulnerable when they open up their hearts. They are so willing to go into the deep, dark side of things and have very intense, passionate conversations. They're not just, everyday social kind of weather conversations. That would be our Gemini friends who can be very social and can talk to anyone. Scorpios are going to have that intense look in their eyes. It might be a little, I don't know. So you're just going to ground. You're going to allow the Scorpio energy, whoever is tapping into that, to feel safe. And as they do, the conversations will open and flow and things, you might talk about some deep, intense stuff with Scorpio energy and just work on healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries. That's what this message of Scorpio has for us is create healthy boundaries, and grounding does that. And if you don't have my root flesh fill, let me know. Just drop a little heart emoji in the comments and I'll make sure you get the link to get that free practice that guides you through. It's a 2-minute guided audio visualization of grounding. My favorite way to go. Okay, we did Thursday. Friday's energy, moon is still in Scorpio. Ooh, and one hopped out. The star. How good can you stand it? The stars are limitless in the heavens above. When you look up to the heavens and if you're in a nice dark spot, they call it night sky. Is that how they call it? And like when you find the spot where there's no light pollution, the stars are crazy. You could never possibly count them. And that's what this card is signifying, is there are so many opportunities available to you. How good can you stand it? Dream so big. It's a very intuitive time. Pay attention to your dreams that you have in the evening, to your intuitive hits or those little nudges or gut knowings. You are being offered limitless possibilities. And I will encourage you with this new moon coming up, as you're creating sacred space, and if you weren't able to tap into the energy of the Virgo moon this weekend and get your space kind of organized and decluttered, I would encourage you on Friday, take some time to set things up so that you can dream. If we're cluttered or if there's a lot of stuff in our space physically, it's hard to dream. It's hard to open up to prosperity because we're already kind of overstuffed. Think of it, the group that I was a part of, the mastermind last week, beautiful thing was that it was an amazing cruise and the food is so intense, and they would bring all this food out to us and it was great and you wanted to try it, but even like the dessert would come and you're like, wow, no space for dessert. And that would be so delicious. So dream big and make sure that you leave space for your dreams to come through. think of it also like I had a teacher would say, if we go around with our hands closed all the time because we're carrying stuff, we can't be open to receive. So to be open to receive requires letting go what we're holding on to. So this goes back to the Mercury retrograde. What beliefs, what things have you been holding on to that have kept you playing small, have kept you kind of in this dream, current dream world? You're meant to dream bigger. You're meant to aim higher. You're meant to go for it. That star card. Dream big and know that in order to welcome those blessings into your life, certain things have to be released. And it's going to really center around the beliefs. All right, let's tune into Saturday's energy. Saturday, the moon starts off in Scorpio and goes into Sagittarius later in the day, 6:50. No, actually, it goes into it. Hold on. I try to do military time because, 6:53 in the morning, it goes into Sagittarius. Keeping track. Okay, so moon might be in Scorpio when you wake up, especially for my friends on the East Coast. But if you're on the West Coast, you're probably waking up to a Sagittarian moon. So let's just ask, what's the most important thing that you need to think about and know for Saturday's Sagittarius moon? Let's see who's popping out. The moon. Oh, I love this one. This is a card where illusions pop up. She's under the water, this beautiful mermaid, and the moonlight is coming and shining down through the water, and it gets a little refracted. Do you guys, had you ever, when you were younger, been in a place where you're underwater and you looked up at the sky and it kind of wiggled a little bit and it was distorted slightly? So you're trying to make out the image, whether it was a person standing over you looking down into the pool, or you were looking up at the sun or the clouds. That's the idea here, where things are slightly distorted. We feel under a little bit of illusion. We might be worried about things because they might appear, like in the dark, things can sometimes appear a little scarier. Think of like when you were a kid, or even some of those movies like Monsters Incorporated. It's a cute little teddy bear, but the shadow looks like a monster on the wall. You turn on the light, and it's a teddy bear. So this is encouraging you on Saturday to know that not all as it is as it appears. Don't take things for sight value, but tune into your intuition, because it's another card that helps you dive deep into your intuitive gifts and abilities. And if things appear scary or if things appear overwhelming, turn a light on. And that might mean looking at the data. This is part of that. So I'm going to back up. When I said how to create sacred space this week to welcome in prosperity, part of it is taking a moment to look at the details, to look at things, how are we investing our time, our energy, our money? Are we investing them in places that align with our beliefs? This is a time to reassess, because Jupiter, Sagittarian energy, Sagittarius, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and that's where Mercury is going retrograde in Sagittarius. Jupiter is about prosperity and about abundance. And it's a neutral planet, meaning, it's not thinking of like good or bad. All it's going to do is expand whatever is being focused on. So if you're focusing on, let's say, a poverty mindset or a lack mindset, or, everything's going wrong mindset, Jupiter will be like, great, let's expand. We'll add the miracle grow to that. Instead, we're utilizing that Mercury retrograde to focus on the hope, the optimism, the faith. What is your faith? Where is your faith anchored into? And I would encourage you, don't put it in people. Put it into that higher power, because we're channeling it. We're human, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but part of the experience is us learning and making mistakes and having wins. And it's important to know, a very beautiful practice my mom taught me when I was very young is that, we put people up on pedestals, but they have feet of clay, meaning they're human. And we can look to the experts to be our guides. We can look to the experts to be our teachers to help us, but be mindful not to give your power away to someone. So very important. No one knows all the answers. It's important for us to go into our heart space, into that God spot, that direct connection to source, creator, to connect, to say, okay, all right, God, universe, help guide me, help give me the answers. And yes, there are experts and teachers and guides that can help us find that pathway. And some people feel automatically connected. That's great. Sometimes we get lost, but ultimately you have a direct connection to source. And that's where you go for the answers. And sometimes when we're lost and we're feeling beaten down and we're just feeling exhausted, that's when we lean on our community, our friends, and they help remind us that we have that beautiful connection to source. And we've had it all along. But we need community. We need each other. But be mindful not to give your power away. And that's what really comes through with this. Okay. Sunday. Sunday is the new moon in Sagittarius. So 9 degrees, sun and moon in Sagittarius. And we are looking at taking action on these new beliefs. What's most important that you need to know about this new moon? Four of Wands. It's a celebration. You're putting together a strong foundation to build your dream on. That old song came through. I think it was from, oh my gosh, Sleepless in Seattle, Louis Armstrong's song, But a Kiss to Build a Dream On. That's what it reminds me of. That's a song that's coming through. You know, have that hope, have that optimism. What are you building? I'll never forget, and this story comes through. In 9th grade, I had an English teacher, and she said to us, okay, I want you to write, I don't know, like a 1,000-word essay on yourself so that I can get to know you. But you're not allowed to use the word I. Like you can't say, I love cookies. I love chocolate. I am a Libra. I am this. I don't like this. You can't use the word I. And I was so angry at her because I thought, how in the world will we ever do that? This is impossible. This is the worst. This is blah, 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 right? I had my little temper tantrum. And I went through the exercise. And let me tell you what, it was powerful and impactful. It was like, okay, I am being constrained. There is something that I really don't like. And then I don't agree with. And I played within the confines of the rules and the structures. And I found such incredible creativity and freedom. So even though you might be in a space where you think the world is going to hell in a handbasket, we're grounded. We're going to stay and keep our eyes open. This is not putting on rose-colored glasses and saying, oh, it's all love, light, and happiness, and dancing around. There's love and light, but there's also the other side of that. We live in a world of duality. It's not just one-sided. We need to be aware of both sides. But at the same time, as we're aware and we're grounded, how can we make the most of the resources and tools at our fingertips? We may not be able to use, a certain word, or we may not be able to access certain things. But the Aquarian spirit, as Pluto has moved into Aquarius, this is the innovator. This is the one who thinks outside the box, that says, you think you're going to fence me in? I am a rebel at heart, the Aquarian says. Freedom is what I strive for. And even within these confines, even though you might think that you're fencing me in and you're taking away certain rights or you're doing this, I will find a way. I will find a way within this structure to create freedom. It's amazing. So we're up for a new adventure. I'm so, so grateful to have all of you here with me. It's a joy to spend this time with you. Mary Jo, hello. Oh, so good to see you. Hugs. I got to meet you in person. And I'm still thinking of all the angels around you. You're in my thoughts this morning. So thank you, everyone who joined me live. Have an amazing day. If you'd like to go deeper with these sacred practices, check out Moon Club, irenamiller.co. And I'm going to just post it up on my screen, but it's irenamiller.co/club. And we go into new moon rituals, full moon rituals. We do planning, planning for the month ahead, monthly moon planning, so that you can utilize these energies and you get tips and strategies on how to use the energetic weather to enable you to step into the life you were born to live. Please do like, subscribe, share this with friends. It helps me out so much, and it helps bring this to other people who could benefit from the sacred practices. All right, have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving to my friends in the States, and happy new moon to all. Much love. Mwah. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.